Bro,
Hey,
what's up, man?
oh, another day.
It seems like I'm in like a bunch of other lives, and I'm seeing you in those same lives, bro. Like
I
MetaMike.
know yeah, I saw you earlier today. It was in another live that was about AI. I love to track those down and find them to get, to get insight into what other people are, working with or, the problems they're trying to solve. I only recently started using TikTok, honestly, only like a couple of months ago. And it was with the purpose of trying to find others, in AI, in technology, not from a sales perspective, but just to get some like general insight into, what, like I said, what problems people are facing and solving.
Yes, and we want to talk about some of those problems that have surfaced up for you. We want to talk about different things that you have going on because we're just plain AI curious and plain old cyber curious. And I know you have some things going on as within networking, AI, and if you could share whatever you can share today, I think the crowd, the audience would be interested in, especially as it pertains to any kind of like um, uh, AI solutions that are out there. Anything we need to be thinking about as far as stay away from, what's working, what's not working. Those are some of the questions I think we'll try to hash out today.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I'd love to cover those. And I think, one thing that's not talked a lot about is actual security within AI, right? I think people have conversations around governance and guardrails and talking about like, oh, what if foundational models go off the hinges? But the challenges I'm seeing building AI platforms and specifically AI agents is with regards to role based access for large user groups, right?
Gotcha.
Um, One of the things I see a lot and why we're not seeing a lot of AI solutions is developers and enterprises and companies I work for, people I consult with. Um, the technology really hasn't caught up to a point where you can autonomously have an AI agent say, okay, give me your credit card. I'm going to go into this third party app of yours with your login, and I'm going to securely, execute this transaction without fail. And that's, I think, at the forefront of what um, consumer based technical solutions are trying to solve, right? There's a couple new AI protocols that have been coming out recently. I know OpenAI has released one, and Google as well. And these are where your AI agent can execute e-commerce transactions now.
Mm.
And one in particular through Google is called A2A. So that's A, the number two, and A. And that's an agent to agent protocol. And what this allows an AI developer or programmer to do is say you're building your AI agent. So, for example, me, I build network agents. So, this would be like, oh, I have an AI that checks the ISP. So, it will go into, like, say, Cogent or Tata customer service portal, and it will pull the consumer information. But say I want to take it to another level and have it also communicate with a Palo Alto
Mm.
AI agent. The A2A protocol allows it allows agnostic communication between those agents while embedding the JSON web token of that user's identity. Um, and that was a huge breakthrough that has come about that allows to create what's called MAS, MAS, multi-agent systems. Um, I think a lot of people right now we're still, just on the consumer level, only talking about and thinking about the foundational models, like, oh, which large LLM is better.
Yeah.
But what you're really going to see, what the future of the internet is, and even devices, is thousands, millions of AI agents that have some type of focused model. It might not even be a human language model. I have one model that I built and procured, and all it really knows is Cisco command lines. You can't really have a conversation with it, but what you do is, you have an orchestrator language in the front, and this would be your expensive foundational LLM. And then you have an A2A or an MCP or other tool skill based handoff to this small language model, which was trained on all Cisco proprietary documentation.
Mm.
So it will execute and work on and troubleshoot Cisco devices. And then I'll create one for Palo, and then I'll create one for Juniper, and then I'll create one for Meraki. And similarly, I start to create this MAS, this mesh. And of course, when you're doing something, in production and critical like that, we're going to want it so that me, the network administrator, can make changes to Cisco gear, but the local IT or the help desk can only view changes. And that's all controlled through role-based access. And I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with it, but zero trust is very critical in agent platform design. So that's, if you haven't familiarized yourself with zero trust based architectures, you should catch up on that.
Yeah, there's several places folks can go, from NIST to a lot of your major vendors out there that have a zero trust talking point, from Microsoft to any major security company out there is talking about has a write up and report on zero trust and the latest that's happening. So good information there. Man, you just loaded us up with some the
I know.
heavy stuff. Hold on,
I,
let me reset real quick, man.
yeah.
Everyone, we are talking about AI. We're talking about cyber. We're talking about networks. We have MetaMike in the building. He has blessed us with some of his time. I see some folks flooding in here. What's up, Cyberspace? What's up, Cyber John? What's up, Reese? What's up, y'all? Welcome in. Welcome in. What's up, Freddie? And we really want folks to come up and chat. And if you have questions, it can be easy questions. They could be hard questions. They could be curveball questions. We want to invite you up so that way we can fill this gap between folks who are emerging in the space to folks who are established in the space, and that's the goal. What's up, Tom? Welcome in. So yeah, let's get this party started. I see we got somebody here, Universal, Cat 5E. I know you got some fire over there. Cat 5E
Oh
in your
yeah.
name. What's up? How you doing?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. How you? What you got going on over there? Are you touching network? Big into networking?
Yeah, I've been looking more into the networking side in terms of, the cloud infrastructure. Um I also, I think there are some drawbacks with the 0 day stuff. I don't know. I see what the security I can see what the security issues are and stuff. But at the same time is like even like server OS or whatever, like another analogy I guess is like the satellite protocols and stuff. There's kind of like an intended backdoor for I guess transmitting data. So I just don't I can't really see a completely secure system. I think this is always going to be an issue, and I don't know what the zero. Well, I guess maybe I'm not that educated in terms of the 0 day stuff.
Yeah, so it's zero trust. And a basic way I like to describe it is, and you're right, there's challenges. You kind of have to go all or nothing with it, right? If you half-ass zero trust, you end up creating more holes than you do securing them. And with the kind of ideology behind it is to move away from traditional perimeter-based, zone-based uh, network architecture, meaning you're not really declaring a green zone, a red zone, doing a lot of east-west transmission. What you doing is you're adding an identity layer into all a micro segmentations. So your, say, systems, whether it's locally at your physical site or within the cloud, you're still segmenting a network, and you're still doing basic ACLs, but you may not be going as far as to, say, have dynamic subscription based session layer 7 visibility. Because what you're going to do is you're going to add an extra step to that, saying actually the only thing that can go into that network segment is a identity. So it's not my IP that's connecting to the system, it's user John Smith connecting on port 8080. And that's embedded within the communication to the system, if that makes sense. But don't worry, I'm not here to sell you on zero trust. A lot of people hate that conversation, and I don't blame them. It's a very difficult transition to make. When I had brought it up in the AI agent sense, it is to say that you know the the new world. You may have heard people say, oh, the future of the internet is there's going to be no people on it, it's just going to be millions of agents talking to each other. Well, that theory exists in a zero trust architecture sense, whereas the agents either possess an identity themselves, or they hand over the identity to the communication themselves. But regardless, when you start adding autonomous agents across micro-segmented networks, it gets real noisy and confusing fast.
And sorry about that, Universal. I had to mute you just for a second, just because there was some feedback. So if you want to, feel free to come off mute at any moment. There was just some audio interference.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Oh, I think. Hold on. Is there still?
No, it was only when MetaMike was talking and you're unmuted that there's an issue. Otherwise, you're good. You're good.
I was.
And it looks like you just muted yourself. Just unmute and then you're good. Start talking.
I keep hearing like redundancy.
Okay, we got you clear. So, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I think I can hear you fine. It's just like on my end, like the audio is repeating.
Okay, it's probably my fault. I'll go
Yeah,
off
and I
mute.
think DJ said that there's an echo too. But yeah, I guess.
All right, yeah, it should be good now. It was my fault. Audio settings, guys. Sorry, everyone.
So with what MetaMike Lee said, I see that there's like more fingerprinting, what it seems like in terms of giving people a different type of like identifier or a key. Um, I think that's a good idea, but then also is like you have stuff in like I don't know if you guys are pretty familiar too with the Active Directory stuff where the administrator, lateral like movement and stuff, even the administrator could
Yeah.
just like mess up a whole like they could like change people's permissions and passwords, and you're kind of like you're kind of you're like adding more complexity to a problem that has to be kind of like untangled later on, it seems like. I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear what you're saying. I think we'll never be in a as long as human fingers touch keyboards. There's going to be a room for error on that front. Um, and I think the idea with zero trust was to add that complexity. In fact, but like I said, I'm not. I actually. I really didn't. I don't like zero trust as a network architect, and because you have to kind of reinvent the wheel in some scenarios. And to your point, yeah, like now you're getting paged when it's a layer 5 through 7 issue, and it's not really the core networking that's wrong, and you got to bring identity and access management into the call. But like most things, I think it'll settle with time. Um, and I know even for us, it's not something you really say like, oh, we're starting here in this position and we're going to go here and that's the destination. And then boom, zero trust is done. It's more just a kind of a architectural design style to keep in mind. And I think you'll see it a lot in a lot of the product offerings that come out of Cisco Security, Palo Alto, especially, Fortinet. They're trying to do that, that identity abstraction layer over the network segmentation. So, unfortunately, I don't think it's going away, and I think the AI agents use cases are adding to that necessity. But the core of it, at the end of the day, is they just need a role tied to the access, as opposed to like green zone networking.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Have you guys seen the AI hardware that Cisco has come out with recently?
With regard to like the GPU data center stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I've seen some of the things that they've had. Um, my take on that is, and I've been to a bunch of conferences on this, and a lot of people, like when AI first started, when OpenAI launched, the networking community really just kind of stood up and was like, "Oh, where do we fit in? How does networking and AI really kind of piece together?" And for like the first year or so, all I really saw was, the TPU, GPU data center networking topologies and architectures, which is fine. That's a skill, but you're not, in my opinion, you're not going to see that at the level of traditional network engineering. What I mean by that is you're going to have your junior, your senior network engineers, and we're going to be hired by enterprise corporations and even Fortune 500 companies. But unless you're hired by AWS, Google GCP, Azure, NVIDIA, you're not going to be really hardcore rigging up these GPU farms. And really the architecture and topology of those are kind of laid out. You're not going to come in and do something unconventional, um, you know. So the majority of AI training that I see from like Fortune 500 companies, enterprise orgs, is through the cloud. Google, you can make use of Google's TPUs architectures, and that cost of TP training and inference is pretty low. Um, AWS is catching up. They're already coming out with their own. I forget what they're called, but they're not a TPU or GPU, but it's an extension on their previous cloud processors. But yeah, I think we're going to really see a cloud instance here, and unless you're really working on site at these data centers and doing these build outs, the industry need for you as a network engineer to have like expertise in building out these farms isn't that high.
Okay. Yeah. So what also comes to mind when I'm thinking of like AI and stuff is like where it would fit in terms of like what well I think of like different types of you know infrastructure like configuration for different types of like enterprises and whatever. I think that DHCP kind of handles that pretty well already, or protocols like that. But I think using AI right now in the state that it is with all this, you know, like Cisco hardware and stuff, it's kind of they have a lot of blind spots, and I think there'd have to be like a lot of different types of niche research papers on what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, for sure. And I get your meaning now. So the Cisco AI is horrible, and so isn't the Meraki AI. And here's the reason: because so there's a reason AI startups generally do better than institutional AI products, with as far as how they take off and how well they're vetted, because you really need to build an AI solution from the ground up. Like right now, we see Cisco kind of piecemealing and trying to force feeding like a little AI bot here in Meraki. But Meraki has an amazing API architecture. They've spent 15, 20 years building out their software to work as a cloud-based software in a sense, right? So it's going to take them a while to work out the kinks of making AI-based changes through that. So you'll see that in different Catalyst software as well. But the true kind of wow factor in AI and networking is going to be when AI is embedded directly. So I had a lab. Are you familiar with like white box solutions, like with like Sonic OS and stuff like that?
I've heard of those. Yeah.
Yeah, so I built out a lab where I have these white box switches and Sonic OS, and then you embed it's pretty much like a Linux distro within the switch, and since it's just the same ASICs and Broadcom chips, you just have a at the time it was Llama, but a small language model embedded in the switch. And then you are talking directly to the hardware, kind of bypassing a software abstraction layer that sits on top of it.
So you're talking about like like an edge AI application, like like a local device host.
Yeah, so like you don't need the internet to run. Like you just plug into the switch, give it like actual just power, and then instead of a command line, you're talking to the switch.
That's pretty interesting. But it has like a lot less data to work with, right?
Yes, so it's problem ridden. Um, you couldn't sell this today, but the theoretical concept is there. Is what I'm trying to get at. So as the as you get because I just trained um, and it's not a full training. What it is kind of you add on top of um, the open source llama model, and I added on top of that just sonic understanding and switching understanding and basic network engineer communication, so it knows what I mean when I say I need a VLAN for blah blah blah. It understands the human to the device um, communication there. And that was all I was able to do, just get switch ports to change VLANs.
Yeah, also when I think of how AI is used right now, and generally speaking, I think that the way that you ask it to, do tasks really matters. So
Yeah.
if it overshoots, then you ask it to go lower a little bit, and then you keep doing that until you're at the at like a Goldilocks spot where it basically slashes a lot of the grunt work away, and then you could just do what you could add on to what it has finished.
Yep. So I just want to, so DJ BSEC, so my name is Mike Lee. I've been working in technology for like 25 years or so. I started in 1998. And through that time, I started out pretty much in help desk. And then I went into Windows systems administration. And then I went into networking and then development. I've worked for Match.com, Wayfair, the Princeton Review, Simpress, Vistaprint, a bunch of technology companies. I've gotten certifications in the past, but I don't keep up with certifications anymore. Honestly, there's a lot of time investment with that I already have a lot of experience in a resume that it doesn't really make sense. I more so put time into kind of building out these systems, training teams, and helping enterprises. I started in 2015, 16-ish, doing networking programmability migrations for enterprises. So switching over from a device-centric support models to programmability and IAC. And then in 2018, I started exploring machine learning and seeing if we could get, this was when I was at Wayfair, if we could take our large amounts of networking data and see if we could build off of any type of proactive machine learning based on that data. And then the AI industry started to come about, a lot faster. And ever since then, I've been doing both IAC platform development with AI. So I build what are called AI-driven network operation platform solutions. So what this is you basically have your infrastructure as code, which is like a network DevOps system for your enterprise, and then I add AI on top of that, so that you could have, say, someone at your local site ask, is there anything wrong with my network? And they don't have to page a network engineer. And it'll answer because it pulls in data, and it also has a networking side where the network team members can operate and execute in human language our CI/CD pipeline workflows.
So you will be the one to congratulate or even blame for the duties for network engineers being tapped. that workload decreasing because the AI will be running point.
Um, so is it my fault network teams are getting smaller? Is that what you're saying?
I was saying two things, yes, and also congratulations for filling a gap and making life easier at the same time.
Yes, so it's a mixed bag. And here's my take on that. AI doesn't give talent to anyone, and I've yet to see it replace anyone. And I'm being honest when I say that. I think people have this grand idea that AI is going, like, yes, I will create an AI agent that is network engineer, but he augments my network engineer. He doesn't replace them. It just makes it so that my network engineer does 4 times as much. But he has to be a good network engineer to start. If you're a bad network engineer, AI is not going to make you a better one. It's actually going to make you look bad because you're going to be able to fuck up. Oh, sorry, I didn't. You're going to be able to screw up quicker, right? But an amazing engineer is going to be able to kind of. It's going to be like a jet engine, and he's going to be able to get so much more done. And it's going to do things like I mentioned, where it frees up those on-call notices because now the service desk member can ask about the network and he doesn't need to page us for us to just ping a switch or do basic OSI layer troubleshooting. I can just automate an AI to do that in human language terms. So you will, and we will see as network engineers, network teams get smaller, but you will not see network engineers go away. It's going to make your talent and your skills be more in demand. Senior network engineers are in huge demand. Entry level are not. That's a challenge. I'll admit that. But I think that's more to do with training, education, and the current state of the certification industry. I think the whole certification industry needs an overhaul. It's not up to date with the state of the industry itself.
Yeah, that I love that. I love that response because it puts ownership back on the individual to skill up, to always stay ahead, to be aware of different things that are on the horizon, like you're mentioning, and be a part of it, help it develop, and be a part of that first run of folks who are using it. We call that cutting edge technology.
Yes, yes. It's like they say, in this industry, it really is adapt or die. I learned that very early on, and I've always been moving. Like I said, I started in help desk. Now, I don't have a degree. I tried to go to college like 3 different times. It was too slow and it was not paying off, meaning the time I was devoting for it was not as beneficial as me building a home lab, researching this certification, doing this side project on my own, meeting up with somebody and like doing in-person networking. That was much more beneficial to my career than kind of sitting through an English course, right? Um, and I'm not. That's not to say anybody who got a degree it wasn't worth it. I'm just saying there's, in this industry, I think the effort you put in can be seen a lot more a lot more frequently than say a traditional accountant. Sure, those industries change, but at the end of the day they're adding numbers. For us, there's going to be something we work on today and in 15 years it's just going to be a memory. One of the first things I did was a Windows NT to 2000 domain migration. Now, I almost never see a physical, domain controller. It's either an Azure or there's some type of identity-based solution in the works. And that's a blessing and a curse in this industry. It means you can never really kind of lose out on an entry point where you want to jump in. If you're good, you're talented, and you put it in the effort. But it also means you're never going to stop learning. You can't stop learning. And it's not you versus the company hiring you. It's you versus the guy next to you that wants to do a better job than you. That's who you're competing with. You're competing with the talent. And I will say, if you feel intimidated by that, don't worry. There's plenty of untalented people working. If there's something I've seen, there's some people that I don't know how they got there.
I agree with your points. That kind of circles back with, I guess, with what you said about using AI as like a jet engine. Kind of how, the automobile came out right on the cusp of everyone used to be, on horseback and stuff. It's just a way of getting from point A to point B a lot quicker. It's just, some people don't want this change so, like, right now, but I think it's for the better. And kind of with what your path was, not it wasn't, well, it was unorthodox, but I think this is even very important in terms of like research and cutting edge stuff. You want people from all walks of life, right? Because I think that kind of like you mentioned, everyone has their strengths and weaknesses.
Yes. Yep. And a great manager. So I manage a team of engineers now, and that's something that I'm heavy into looking for. When you start as a manager, and this would be the third company I've done where they brought me in to kind of overhaul the networking team, not like replace the networking team, but like change the culture to a more programmability and development and automation focus. And that's a lot of network engineers are like, hey, I became a network engineer so I wouldn't need to know code. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. So, you have to, for me, I'm always able to find, okay, that might be a challenge for you. What are you awesome at? Okay, and then kind of, piecemeal the team and delegate accordingly. And a good manager should do that. And I think what you'll find is, for engineers, they do inherently love cool technology. So a lot of times it's just a matter of, put it in front of them. Give them the aha moment. If I give engineer B the task and say, okay, do this cool thing, engineer one doesn't want to do it. When engineer two does it, engineer one is going to be like, what? Oh, that's awesome. How'd you do, And they're just going to get the conversation going. It's going to change kind of like the culture, the morale, and things like that. And, thank you for calling it out. I think something that's totally helped me in my career is that I've always wanted to be on the bleeding edge to a fault. Like, people are like, Michael, slow down. Like I mentioned, I was trying to explore AI in 2018. No one was ready for that because there's different stages. There's like the exploratory fun engineer mindset, like me playing at home. There's kind of like dev, MVP, POC testing. That's later down the road. And then there's prod. Like, I'm way too early for anything to be living in prod. And, an enterprise is going to know that. They're going to say, hey, we're not willing to risk this money because there's not an ROI there. But by me being in kind of the forefront of that, what it does is I was knowledgeable about AI in 2020. And then 2023 came out and everyone was like, oh my God, what's AI? And I'm like, hey, let me step in. Let me show you this. Let me show you that. DJ BSEC, a lot of large enterprise orgs that are hybrid cloud networks, which are the past three that I've been are very DevOps. Um, we haven't landed on a name. Maybe it's Net DevOps or DevNetOps. But yes, it's a programmability mindset. Um, and the reason being is the cloud really pushed our hands with that, and that was another thing that I tried to be on the forefront with. It's like if when tsunamis come, you got to kind of ride the wave, but you got to you got to tread carefully. Know what battles to fight, and you know kind of perfect your timing. Some customers are more ready than other. I think one of the things I see now, one of the challenges is sometimes the companies too too pushy with AI, and the users or the engineers aren't. Sometimes the engineers and the users are too forward with AI, and the enterprise isn't, and it creates these imbalances where there's not a solution that's viable. It doesn't work. It's too expensive, and there's a huge misalignment. So there's a nuance there, and this is one of the challenges I think I see with certifications that don't. What they don't do right is, even in interviews and everything, they teach you so in and out. It's like you're studying how to. First of all, you have to study to like build a car, but they never let you drive a car. But also at the same time, when you go to work, you need to sell cars. You're not building them per se, right? You need to say like, all right, this customer needs a Toyota Camry. This one needs a Ford pickup. And a lot of times I'll see network engineers, especially like CCIEs and such, over engineer and be like, it's like, what business problem are you trying to solve? You're trying to build a Ferrari. We just need a bicycle to get to the end of the driveway. So if you can really put that together, that's going to set you apart, I think, from half the engineers that are out there right now. Because most of them are trying to, build a lab on someone else's dime, whereas the others are trying to actually solve a business problem.
Yeah, I think that DJ Bisek has a good point that you have to understand it from a business standpoint, in terms of logistics, in terms of budget and security, all of that.
Exactly,
Exactly,
100%.
100%.
I saw that you have an AI startup. Could you describe what the idea is?
Yeah, so it's basically an extension of the AI-driven operational platform. So I'll give you the skinny on the architecture. So are you familiar with Netbox or Natobot as like a single source of truth for network everything?
I think, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yep. So basically, I start with NetBox open source on the back end, and this platform, what it allows you to do, it allows you to ingest vendor agnostic network information. So your Cisco, your Juniper, your Palo Alto, your Meraki, anything, and then via a system of, I would say like a middle layer. A middle layer of agents, you interact with the data and those devices. And then in front of that is a human level orchestration layer. And this would be like your conversational agent. And what makes this unique is how it's architected. It is the fastest AI platform that exists. I've measured it. It allows you to quickly and cheaply ingest your network platform. So you don't have to like say, oh, you can only use Cisco and you got to do this, and it's a long ingestion process. You basically just plug in, this platform just plugs into whatever enterprise infrastructure architecture you have, and then you start working with it on 3 different tiers. You have a viewer tier, a administration tier, and then a elevated permission tier. Like you could edit the platform itself.
Damn.
So imagine going into like ChatGPT and saying, "Hey, I need to spin up a guest SSID at our Miami office. It's for these users and it's from this date," and then it just does it.
I'm stunned. Like, yeah, you would have to have someone who has the experience and knowledge and know how to accomplish that task, and they have to be available, and their mind has to be in the right, set mindset to get it done. I mean, that was quick and easy, but let's create an even more complex example where it does take more brain cycles. It does take more heads down time to think about the design, think about the other things to consider.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. This you wouldn't like give this to the receptionist to start playing around. And you're absolutely right, DJ Bisek. You could build something like this in N8N, like as orchestration. But what I do and what makes it so fast is I build it out and it's dynamically scalable in Cloudflare's CDN. So it kind of lives on the edge. And say, so that would support multiple customers. This way, I don't have to build out unique N8N automations. I just kind of have this dynamic orchestration that lives in the cloud. You're absolutely right, DJ Bisek, and that's where I embed the JSON web tokens for multiple user authentications, and those get handed off too, and they can rest with your current ISE or Active Directory or other. If they don't have a role-based identity, I use Google Workspace, GCP, but it's tied into a role-based authentication mechanism.
So I'm guessing that you've trained, or the idea is also to train a lot of like narrow bandwidth large language models to get this done. Because also one of my concern also aligns with DJ BSEC with the security issues in terms of how much you could, I guess, you could break on accident.
Sure, you could. Yeah. No, DJ BSEC, you can build physical networks if you have. Well, it depends on the device. Like if like a zero touch provisioning can be done where you just plug it in and it gets a internet address, and then you could push a configuration beforehand. But it's dynamic in the sense that it wouldn't just be a blind. It's not really ChatGPT that you're talking to. There is like a React-based, web-based GUI where there is visual representation similar to Natobot, where you can see device status, device information, and other things like that. But it's simple. But you can integrate, via cloud, Ansible, and Terraform automations to templatize these devices. It's pretty much an IAC platform, and then you just have AI kind of sitting as an abstraction layer in front of it. You do.
So we were in Lamont's live earlier today great live, everyone. Go check out Lamont Wheat's page. Follow him. He has some great things going on. And he was talking about friction. And have you already solved for friction, or based on the templates that friction within the AI deciding on its own to do things or certain or not do things is solved through templates, or is there another solution out there for that?
So the way I solve that, so that is something happens. There's a couple of different ways you could do a um, like it depends on what you know, what you want to do. If you know end to end, this is the workflow, this is what I need to build, and this is where I want to take it. You design a systems architecture, and by the way, I didn't mention it, but that systems architecture I have is a architecture that is called human in the loop validation. So it doesn't do it and then say, I'm done. It says, I'm going to do this. Do you have any changes or do you object or things like that? And I mentioned the agents. The agents are carved out in very segmented operability and workflows. So while the front end that talks to me like a human is a little bit wild, all it can really do is take my instruction, and then it goes to Cloudflare, and then there's workers that instruct the backend agents that are that have what's called guardrails. So they're not allowed to hallucinate. They just error out. So that's one of the things that you'll see, I think, with large foundational models is, Anthropic, OpenAI, Google. They don't want their AI to like not work, so they hallucinate more often than they should. But you can have small language models in domain-focused agents that aren't allowed to hallucinate and really are, like, you'll tell them, you're only allowed to execute this API call. You're only allowed to, do X action if Y JWT token exists, etc. So there's definitely nuance and fine tuning there. And by the way, I haven't sold this to anybody yet. I built it, like I mentioned, it's an extension and an offshoot of what I'm building in my main job. But this is more kind of a platform at scale that's growing. It's conceptually works, but it's not something I would feel comfortable selling, like, Fortune 500 company, like, oh, this is going to be the AI. Like, oh, this.
I agree with what you said. I would have suggested something similar with well, in my experience, I've used Google Cloud and stuff, and other AI agents like Gemini. I've seen that sometimes when the front end and the back end, like how they interact with each other, sometimes is like some things aren't picked up from the back end and it doesn't tell you, so it's kind of like a needle in a haystack. So you have to make sure that it gives you every single thing precisely that it changes, or that you want it to change and stuff, because I know that Google does that to an extent. But yeah.
Yeah, and I have a couple of different tools I use for that. One is Portkey AI Gateway. Cloudflare has some gateway tools as well. And then the ability for certain reasoning APIs, you can ask for extra like thinking reasoning. So those are all kind of a component of the architecture as well. And yes, you're absolutely right. You need you need some visibility and observation. One of the other aspects of this is as a means to control costs. A ChatGPT 5.2 API call is going to be expensive, or similar with Claude. So there's a dynamic LLM picker in the back end. So if I just ask, "Hey, what time is it?" It's going to use a flash model and give me time, because it's actually going to ping an MCP clock tool. But if it asks, "Hey, explain to me the meaning of life," it's going to automatically pick the reasoning thinking LLM that's in the back end through that AI gateway.
Bro, who's doing that? Who's doing that in the space today? I haven't seen that.
Um, I've seen it in companies. So, when you look to kind of enterprise stand-up AI solutions, one of the things is to kind of get like an ingest point, because costs get crazy really fast. And at first it was for costs, but now, to Universal's point, troubleshooting. Troubleshooting is very difficult with AI if you have no idea of why it decided to do what it did. One of the other things with regards to drift over time, you may see this where you build a specific agent, or you set something up, and day one, it's executing what you asked for pretty well. But a month later, it starts doing weird things. It's like, how do we get here? What took it? You need a way to pick up and monitor and tune drift. And then again, there's a couple of tools for that. But oddly enough, it's kind of checking in with your AI. So on the back end, I'll be recording like the thinking logic, and I'll work with AI to say, okay, the general knowledge instructions for this agent, which were XYZ, but now we're getting ABC results. And it's going to say, okay, you need to inject blah, blah, blah. Now you can automate that a bit, but I think the tech needs to mature a little bit before that's actually perfected, because that's still a bit of a wild card. Because there's no way I've seen to 100% guarantee drift doesn't occur unless you lock down the AI agent to a point where it only does one thing. And at that point, you should just be doing a Python script.
Within your solution, and as far as what you have going on, and thinking about, are you introducing like an observability component to track any metrics for efficiency and monitoring?
I mean, I get basic things, and depending on that component of the platform. So honestly, I don't give too much attention to the actual AI pieces falling apart as much as I do the actual hard-coded backend. That's like, yes, the Python, the React, the cloud connectivities, the MCP tooling, things that I know that are absolute, that could be like troubleshoot and things like that. Because my take on that is the technology will mature a bit in time. And as that catches up, it'll essentially solve itself. And the reason I say that is because this is not the first time I tried to do this. I've been trying to do this for 5 years. And every 6 months, something gets released or something happens, and I have to start over from square one. Because it's like, oh, well, this is a whole new tool. Oh, this is a whole new thing. That's honestly why I've had my AI startup for 3 years, but haven't sold or met a client, because I haven't wanted to a point where I felt comfortable that, oh, this is going to be something I'm going to hand over to them, and I'm not going to have to rebuild from the ground up yet. We're getting there, but ironically enough, what I've done the most of is take AI away from the solution. Hard coding, standing up, interoperability with a trusted vetted IAC platform.
Nice, nice. All right. Let's so for the sake of time, I want to get you out of here, MetaMike. But
Yeah.
can we get two more questions in? One from Hope and one from Cyber Secrets. Is that all right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Hope. What you got over there? Or Cyber Secrets, if you're ready, go ahead.
Yeah, my question was around like I did a class with John Strand, who does Black Hills InfoSec. One of the things he told the class was, you know, one of the most powerful things you could do in the network is lay poison, right? And so one of the interesting things about your talk to me is this concept of, if a endpoint or something gets compromised, building out in real time, or certain components stood up preemptively, but like when endpoint gets compromised, having the threat actors go through basically like a decoy network, right? And like these certain things are stood up to understand the threat actor's behavior and gather threat intelligence to be used for either shoring up defenses or just understanding the IOCs that threat actors are using. Like, does your solution, or have you done anything with that kind of stuff? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. And I know what you're talking about. And this has been a long dream for network engineering, and it's called proactive engineering. So, network engineering for the longest time has been reactive, right? You stand it up, you put it in place, and you wait till something breaks. Either the network goes down, vulnerability is exploited, and then you reverse engineer what happened to figure it out. So what AI has done, and this is what initially led me on the path to exploring AI in networking, is you have something like a Datadog or a New Relic or your SOC. You have these points of large data ingestion where it would be ridiculous for a single person to go through that and try to pick out patterns over time. But what we've started to do and started to explore with AI is proactive networking based on those data sets. It's not financially feasible yet, but you will start to see it. And that is one example we had is we got a notification the Deer Park ISP DIA circuit's going to go down, and it was like, wait, how did the AI know this? And it's because through the log aggregation, it recognized this pattern of these three things always happen, and when the fourth thing happens, we have an outage. So I'm going to tell you now on the third thing, and I'm going to email you in Slack. Now go check out and proactively stop the outage. So I think you'll see more and more things like that.
That's cool for like resiliency engineering, but as far as like building essentially a honey net to gather intelligence about threat actors, is that something you've dealt with or that you have a take on?
No, I haven't. I honestly, the only outside of networking security, like larger issues, I've worked with like red team exercises and things like that, but I haven't seen any like honeypot or kind of creating the environment where you can get visibility into the threat actor.
All right, we're gonna try to get MetaMike out of here, y'all. Hope, you the last one. What you got over there?
Yeah, so my question here is that I just want to ask if AI can replace bug hunting in terms of we as bug hunters, or can be a great help to help bug hunters, to find bugs more easily though.
Yeah, the challenge with like using networking, say you did a like a tech support output, or like you're trying to get TAC logs and network devices. The problem with AI right now is the memory can't take all that data. So unless you've built a custom AI solution which ingests that data in a RAG based scenario where it like vectorizes it, so so it doesn't chip away at the memory. It's a bit more difficult, but I think you'll see it over time. But I use it. I do use AI for just general troubleshooting. If you have an explicit error log or a short Wireshark. I do Wiresharks all the time, but you can't have like a 10-minute Wireshark. It's just got to be like a 1 minute or 30-second Wireshark, and then dump that into AI, and you can get AI will tell you, hey, this is what your network looks like.
Okay. Got it. I think that's all though.
Yeah. MetaMike, yeah, you shut it down, bro. You shut it down. I think I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to come chat with us, hang out with us for a little bit. We are gonna shut it down for the evening, everyone. Before we drop, follow MetaMike. Keep up with his story. Keep up with what he's posting. Great material. Be on the lookout for any announcements that he has anything going on. Just keep up with. I want to keep up with you, bro. Keep up
Thanks,
with
guys.
keep up with Cyber Secrets. He has a lot of things going on. DJ BSEC in the comments over there. MVP, you get the big 10 stars for the day. I'm gonna follow you, bro, and connect with you. Go check out Lamont's page as well. Go check out my profile to see who else is coming up next. There's a special announcement that we have that there will be a Discord coming soon. Cyberjohn's here. We're going to be working with Cyberjohn to get that spun up. It's online, but I'll share more information as it comes. But thank you everyone who asked questions, who participated. Thanks for the comments, thanks for the likes and all the gifts. So much love. MetaMike, on our way out. Any last words before we sign out?
No, just I think the closing thought is go out and break stuff. Play with AI. Don't be left behind. It's not going away. And if you don't think it's going to be in your sector, don't be that naive. All it's going to do is help you. It's not going to replace you.
Bad. That's great. All right, with that, y'all, I wish everyone a great, safe rest of their evening. Thank you so much, and we will catch you next time.